It's day 4 of the 12 days of MLB rankings, and today I'm ranking the best third baseman from every team in Major League Baseball. Third base is a weird position. The top is elite, the rest of it's kind of all the same. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about today's ranking, but enough of me talking about it, let's get going into it. Getting us started today at the number 31 spot, Mike Moustakas of the Cincinnati Reds. It's crazy to see how far Mike Moustakas has fallen, but he just really hasn't been good the last 2 years. Injuries and other things have held him back, but the game just has not recovered, and he's finally starting to look old. I mean, he is going into his 34-year-old season, which sounds crazy, but the power seems to be gone. He's not playing good defense. Moustakas comes in at number 31. At number 30, a bit of a disappointing player, a guy I really used to like, Brian Anderson, who's currently a free agent. Brian Anderson is a good player, but the last few years, he's really played poorly, and whether it's because he's been changing positions on the Marlins in that big ballpark, the stats just have not been good, and it led to him being cut by the Marlins this offseason, so Brian Anderson comes in at number 30 for me, but I still think there's a good player there. Just getting a slight bump above Brian Anderson at number 29, I've got Jeimer Candelario of the Washington Nationals. Jeimer did have a good season in 2021 where he had an OPS plus of 121, so the guy can hit, and I think moving to Washington will help him out because playing in Detroit, as we know, is just awful for hitters, so I expect the numbers to get better, but based on what we saw last season and the bad defense, it's hard to put Jeimer Candelario any higher just yet, but someone to keep an eye on because he has barreled up the ball well in his career in the past. For the 28th best third baseman, I've got Joey Wendle of the Miami Marlins. Wendle obviously is more of a utility player, but it seems like third base is going to be his home in Miami. He's a good all-around player, good fielder, but the bat is definitely not as strong as it once was. He's a bit of a slap hitter and just doesn't play as consistently as some of these other guys on this list. The ceiling just isn't that high. At number 27, this guy is a little bit tough to rank because he doesn't have a real position, but I went with Christopher Morel, who seems to be the best third baseman on the Cubs roster right now. I picked him over Wisdom. Morel has an absolute cannon of an arm, like one of the best arms in Major League Baseball, and he does hit pretty well. It's just third base is not really going to be a good position for him defensively, and with the high K rate, it's a little bit tough to project what he's going to look like next season, so I have him a little bit lower than you'd probably expect. For the 26th best third baseman in Major League Baseball, new position for him, Brandon Crawford of the Giants. While Crawford has looked good the last few years, 2022 was not a good season. The offensive numbers were way down. It looks like Father Time might have finally caught up with Brandon Crawford. He just looked old. Now, playing third base, I actually think he'll probably be pretty decent there, but it's really hard to project what he's going to do at a new position coming off of one of the worst offensive years he's had in a while. So maybe I'm a little harsh on Brandon Crawford here. I keep flip-flopping, but I'm going to put him at 26. Getting the top 25 started at number 25, Brandon Crawford's former teammate, Evan Longoria. Longoria low-key has some good stuff, but his injuries keep on coming back, and that's something that's definitely hurting his career, along with the fact that he's going to be 37 years old. While in the games he has played, he still has looked good. It's really, really hard to slot him in for a consistent amount of games, especially if he is going to be playing the field. It just adds more injury risk, but he still does relatively mash and would probably be a good depth piece for somebody. This isn't the same Evan Longoria, but there's still something left there. Coming in at number 24, I've got Jose Miranda of the Minnesota Twins. Miranda is bad in the field. Straight up bad. We know that. But he can hit. He's always been a good hitter. Low K rate, low walk rate though, so it makes it kind of tough for him to be consistently good, along with a pretty high chase rate. I like what we saw in Miranda's rookie year, but I do expect some regression, which is why I have him here at number 24. One spot ahead of Miranda, coming in at number 23, is going to be Alec Bohm of the Philadelphia Phillies. Bohm ended up having a pretty solid year. Obviously, he is one of the worst defensive third basemen in baseball. The dude can't even make simple throws to first base. But at the plate, while he doesn't really hit for much power yet, he does have a high average, hits the ball hard, hits it consistently, and he doesn't really chase. He has good bat-to-ball skills. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the guy was a top 5 pick in the draft. If that power can develop, Bohm can be really good. But until then, he stays down here because of that bad defense and lack of power. Next up at number 22, I've got Josh Rojas of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rojas is a ball player. This dude can straight up hit. He just doesn't have a spot in the field. Defensively, not very good anywhere. But at the plate, Rojas is really good. This past year, he posted a 739 OPS, which was for an OPS plus of 111. After a good 2021 season, Rojas seems to be improving as the years are going on. And for a utility player who can play a little bit of third base, I think he definitely has some value here for the Diamondbacks. Just missing out on the top 20 at number 21, I've got my boy Eduardo Escobar of the Mets. Escobar had another solid year where he was slightly above average with the bat, about average to a little below average defensively. 20 homers, 26 doubles, 69 RBIs, nice with a 240 average, 295 on base, 430 slugging, and a 726 OPS. OPS plus at 106, like I said. I think Escobar's game is starting to slow down a little bit as he's getting older, but he's a good athlete, good switch hitter, all-around solid player at third base. Getting the top 20 started at number 20, Josh Young of the Texas Rangers. Now, yes, this one's a little bit aggressive. He did not look great in his small sample we saw last year at the major league level, but that was coming off of labrum surgery, and when we saw this guy in the minors, all he's done is rake. His K rate seemed to be extraordinarily high last year, and I do think that's because of the shoulder injury. He was a top pick in the draft out of Texas Tech. There is so much to like about Josh Young, so maybe it's me being a little bit aggressive. Maybe it's me showing a little personal bias here because I like the guy as a player, but I do think that he will be a top 20 third baseman in 2023. He's got serious pop. For the 19th best third baseman in Major League Baseball, a bit of a down year for Yoan Moncada of the Chicago White Sox. Everyone on the White Sox had a down year, especially Yoan Moncada. He seems to do this thing where he has one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. It's happened literally since he got called up. And last year was a bad year, so it's tough to figure out what kind of player he is. Overall, he's probably just a little bit above average offensively. Third base, his numbers are kind of all over the place. Defensively, it depends. I think Moncada is good. He just has to show it more consistently in order for me to bump him up on these rankings because last year was horrible. His walk rate went way down. He just really wasn't hitting the ball well. Next up at number 18, I got Luis Urias of the Milwaukee Brewers. Urias is just kind of a good third base. Defensively, not so much, but at the plate, he's been hitting the last few years. An OPS plus above 110, which is really good, 10% better than league average. And again, he doesn't do anything particularly great, but he does things good, at least above average. Got a little pop in his bat, gets on base decently well. Former top prospect. I think Urias, this is a fair spot for him. It's just shocking he's so bad defensively at third. The 17th ranked third baseman was definitely the hardest ranking I did. Anthony Rendon of the Angels, remember this guy? Obviously, when he was healthy in his prime, he was one of the best third basemen in the game, but we have not seen that in a few years. Outside of the COVID year, which was only 60 games in which he played 50, since joining the Angels, including the COVID year, Rendon has never played more than 58 games in a season. And even in the COVID year, he only played 52 of 60. So I'm not really sure what to do with him because playing is part of the game and he just doesn't get on the field. So I bumped him down a bit until he shows us he's healthy and good while healthy. It's hard to rank him. 17 it is. Another really tough guy I had ranking here comes in at number 16, and that's Justin Turner. Justin Turner just keeps hitting. He doesn't really play third base that much anymore. Like, let's be honest, that's probably not the position for him. And the numbers are getting worse, but he's still really good at the plate. So I don't know what to do. He's going to be 38 next year. I expect there's going to be a bit of regression in his game. He's a really tough guy to rank. I think he'd be better suited as a DH on your team, but right now, Turner, I think, is basically middle of the pack for third baseman going into 2023. Because we did see the power dip last year, and that's usually the first sign. He only hit 13 home runs, which was the lowest since 2015. At the number 15 spot, I've got Brandon Drury, formerly of the Padres, Reds, a bunch of teams, but boy did Drury have a great year in 22. Drury had a career high in home runs, doubles, RBIs, 28 homers, 31 doubles, 87 RBIs, hitting 263 with a 320 on base, 492 slugging, 813 OPS, good for an OPS plus of 122. Now, yes, those numbers did slow down when he went to San Diego, but Drury is definitely still a good hitter, definitely still a good player, and while third base might not be the best position for him, he's actually not that bad there defensively, and he can definitely mash. For the 14th best third baseman in Major League Baseball, I've got Josh Donaldson of the New York Yankees. Another guy that was like impossible to rank because he was so bad last year, but also like not actually that bad, but definitely showed signs of what is to come because it seems like this might be the decline of Donaldson. Defensively, still great, still has an awesome glove at third, but the bat was just not good. He kind of left it on his shoulders a lot, and there wasn't a whole lot of good contact this year. 15 home runs, which is like the lowest he's had in quite some time in a full season, going all the way back to 2013. So is this the decline of Josh Donaldson? Maybe. Even so, he still plays good defense, and I can't put him that much lower yet because he still is too talented to not be like inside the top 15 here. Okay, here's where it gets a little weird. Coming in at number 13, I've got Ryan McMahon of the Colorado Rockies. McMahon is one of the best defensive third basemen in the game. Glove is elite. At the plate, it's a little shaky. He's about league average, but he's shown good spurts of offensive production before. Now, obviously, he plays in Colorado, so that's going to boost his offensive numbers, but he's also in a horrible lineup, so why pitch to Ryan McMahon when he was one of the few good hitters this past year? Still, you're looking at a guy that's going to give you about 20 homers, 25 doubles, and 70 RBIs a season, playing good defense at third base, and with an OPS around 750. It doesn't sound great, but his defense is so good that it gives him a lot of value, and I really do think in the right place, in the right lineup, this guy can be a really good player. Waiting for that breakout, could be in the 23 season. Next up at number 12, I've got Ke'Bryan Hayes of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I love Ke'Bryan Hayes. I love him. The bat is gonna come, guys. I'm telling you, it's about to pop because the peripheral numbers, you look at Baseball Savant, they're really good. And defensively, he might have the best glove at third base in all of baseball. He is just so smooth over there, cannon of an arm, great hands. Now it's about figuring it out at the plate, which he sort of has done. It's just the outcomes haven't been there. He's extremely unlucky. lucky because his average exit velo and max exit velo are in the 85th percentile and higher. He doesn't swing and miss a lot, and he walks a decent amount, along with not really striking out too much or chasing. If he hits the ball in the air a little bit more, which is kind of an easy fix for a guy like Ke'Bryan, oh my goodness, he is going to pop. And even so, he was still really good. One of the most valuable third basemen in baseball last year without even hitting that well. Just missing out on the top 10, coming in at number 11, I've got Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays. Yandy is such a peculiar player because let me tell you, third base defensively, horrendous. It's not going to be good, but he just mashes. Now, it's not for really any power. He's a little bit of like Alec Bohm, but better, in that he doesn't hit for power, hits for a decently high average, and hits the ball pretty hard. But again, he just does it better. So his average exit velo percentile is 93rd, max exit velo 95th percentile. That's gross. He doesn't strike out at all. He walks a ton. His walk rate is among the best in Major League Baseball. He has an incredible eye. But defensively, he's a liability, which is why I keep him outside of the top 10 because let's be honest, he's really more of a first baseman. But the way this Rays team currently looks, probably going to play a lot of third. It's going to be bad defense, but at least he mashes. Finally, getting the top 10 started at number 10. We're getting bold here, but I'm going with Gunnar Henderson of the Baltimore Orioles. Now, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Gunnar last year. Only had 132 plate appearances with Baltimore, but they were a fantastic 132 plate appearances. In that 30-game sample, he had 4 homers, 7 doubles, a triple, and 18 RBIs, hitting .259 with a .348 on base, .440 slugging, and a .788 OPS, good for an OPS plus of 123. The K rate was relatively low at 25%, and the walk rate was really high at 12%. And this stuff looks like it could stick. Gunnar Henderson's been a standout in the minors for a few years now, and it seems like he's ready in Baltimore to be that everyday guy at third base. Gunnar is extremely talented, and I expect him to have a huge year for the Orioles, or at least be like a top 10 third base guy. Just a slight tick ahead of Gunnar. At number 9, I've got Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. Looks like he's going to play third base this upcoming year. A good move because he's definitely better at third base than he is short. It seems like it's going to be an easier position for him to handle. While the numbers over the entire year, because if you remember, he started opening day, aren't jump off the page at you, like 20 homers, 31 doubles, 6 triples, 80 RBIs with 30 stolen bases, hitting .254 with a .294 on base, .428 slugging, and a .722 OPS. I mean, those are amazing numbers for a rookie, especially a 22-year-old in a really bad lineup. There's a lot of things to like with Bobby Witt Jr., and I do expect with a year underneath his belt now, he's going to get even better. The guy's talent is through the roof, and maybe him and Gunnar are some of my boldest picks that I've done in these rankings thus far, but I do believe both of them will be top 10 third basemen in 2023. For the 8th best third baseman in Major League Baseball, let's head to the Pacific Northwest to talk about Eugenio Suarez of the Seattle Mariners. Eugenio's back. I'm so happy. He starts playing third again, and what do you know? He's back. He's a good hitter again. He mashed last year with the Mariners, 31 homers, 24 doubles, 87 RBIs. Yes, he did strike out American League high 196 times, but that's always been his thing. You don't care when he hits for power. 230 average is low, but a 332 on base is good with a 459 slugging, 791 OPS, and an OPS plus at 129. 30% K rate's high, but 11.5% walk rate's great. And his defense at third base is like average. Bad at short, average at third with a good bat. Yeah, it's top 10 for me. Eugenio is a beast. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I've got Matt Chapman of the Toronto Blue Jays. Chapman had an incredibly slow start to the 2022 season, so much so that I thought maybe he wasn't actually good. Boy, was I wrong because he warmed up in the second half. He got on an absolute tear. It looks like his hit might actually be better now, which I think is going to be huge for his game, along with the fact that the Blue Jays kind of fixed a hole in his swing, and Chapman ended up having a really good year. 27 homers, 27 doubles, 76 RBIs, with a 229 average, 324 on base, 433 slugging, 757 OPS, for an OPS plus of 115. You take a look at his splits, and the second half was definitely way better. He was walking more, hitting for a little bit more power. The glove was weirdly not good, though, in Toronto, so something to keep an eye out for, but I do think Chapman is still a top 10 third baseman. Just missing out on the top 5, coming in at number 6, I got Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox. Devers is so incredibly good, but defensively, he's so bad. So bad. That being said, you don't care, because at the plate, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. 27 homers, 42 doubles, 88 RBIs, with a 295 average, 358 on base, 521 slugging, and an 879 OPS. Good for an OPS plus at 141. He definitely did fall off big time in the second half. His OPS was about 250 points lower than it was in the first, but that doesn't scare me. Rafael Devers is an absolute machine at the plate. If he can just learn how to play defense at third a little bit, top 5, no doubt. But that defense is what separates him from these next 5 guys. Getting the top 5 started at number 5, welcome back Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros. Bregman is back. He had that weird little wrist injury, and once it healed, all the power came back, and he started playing like the Alex Bregman we once knew. While the power numbers still haven't returned to the 18 and 19 season levels just yet, he did have 23 homers with 38 doubles and 93 RBIs, hitting .259 with a 366 on base, 454 slugging, and an 820 OPS, good for an OPS plus of 133. He walked 10 more times than he struck out. That's incredible. He's all around a really good player, and now with a healthy Bregman, maybe he climbs back up to that 30 home run plateau plateau. Astros lineup's so good, I expect Bregman to have another great year. For the fourth best third baseman, I've got Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. Now, defensively, he did take a step back last year. He wasn't as good as he was in 21, but my goodness, he's just such a good third baseman, such a good ball player. Another MVP type season, 38 homers, 39 doubles, 93 RBIs. Those numbers are disgusting. Hitting 273 with a 349 on base, 528 slugging, and an 878 OPS for an OPS plus of 142. Finished sixth in the MVP voting. He was just simply one of the best players in baseball last year. It feels weird to put a guy with those stats at number 4, but you guys know who the top 3 are. We're talking Hall of Fame caliber players. I don't even want to call this rank number 3. I want to call it 1A, B, and C, because saying Jose Ramirez is the third best third baseman feels wrong, but I think it's right. Ramirez is unbelievable at the plate. He is probably the most underrated player in all of Major League Baseball. I mean, I have him 3 here, and he could easily be 1. That's how good he is. The last 2 seasons, you're looking at a guy who averages 32 homers, 38 doubles, 5 triples, and 114 RBIs a season, while also stealing 24 bases, hitting 273 with a 355 on base, 526 slugging, 881 OPS, and OPS plus at 145. He's also good defensively at third base. He gets on base a ton. He's just so incredibly good. J-Ram is low-key one of my favorite players in baseball. He is incredibly talented. I just couldn't put him ahead of these other guys ever so slightly. It's so close. Like I said, 1A, B, and C. Coming in at 2, or as I like to call it, 1B more so, Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's really, really good. He's so good defensively. He is the best defensive third baseman in baseball. The numbers are through the roof. I mean, Platinum Glove Award winner, Gold Glove Award winner. He does it all defensively. There's nobody better. And at the plate, it's hard to find someone better than Nolan Arenado. He's outstanding. The bat really came back last year. 30 homers, 42 doubles, 103 RBIs, hitting 293 with a 358 on base, 533 slugging, 891 OPS for an OPS plus at 154. Remember when people said he wasn't going to be able to hit outside of Coors? Where are those people now? I bet you they look stupid, because they were. How do you doubt Nolan Arenado? He's just so incredibly good. This guy is on a Hall of Fame career path. It feels weird, again, to put him here at number 2, but the guy at number 1 is just ever so slightly better, because coming in at number 1, I've got Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. Machado is just so good. He's unbelievable. It doesn't even make any sense. Remember when teams didn't want to sign him a few years ago because he was going to cost too much, and now he might opt out at the end of the year and get paid even more money? That's how good he's been. Manny Machado finished second in the MVP voting this past year. Machado hit 32 homers, 37 doubles, 102 RBIs with a 298 average, 366 on base, 531 slugging, and an OPS at 898. OPS plus at 159. While his defense is a little bit worse than Nolan Arenado, still absolutely disgusting, elite, nasty, whatever word you want to describe it to be amazing, that's Machado. Arenado's just slightly better, but Machado is definitely slightly better offensively than Arenado, which is why I give him the slight advantage. All 3 of these guys are incredibly elite, but Manny Machado seems to clear them all just ever so slightly, which is why I have Machado as the number 1 third baseman in baseball going into the 2023 season. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. Do you agree, disagree with my rankings? I want to know your thoughts and opinions. Remember to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. It really does help support the channel, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any other videos, as well as the rankings up until Christmas. Follow me on all my social media at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in description. Thank you guys for watching. You know the drill from here on out. This video right here was the second base rankings that came out yesterday in case you missed it, and this will be a playlist to the entire 12 days of rankings for the 2023 season, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye.